Here's a great question that I get a lot about working with overseas virtual assistants, whether it's somebody to be a chief results officer, somebody does project management, somebody creates SOPs for you, somebody that handles your inbox for your email, your calendar, getting back to people when they reschedule 19 times, scheduling your podcast appearances, or in my case, making sure that my calendar is okay for speaking engagements and clients and all that stuff. If there's a lot to coordinate, you can definitely get some great virtual assistants that can help you and that have tons of experience. You can definitely find people that have a lot more experience, certainly for the cost, that investment that you make in that person in other parts of the world than you can in the US. However, here's the question that I get a lot. Do they speak great English? Well, it's kind of a funny question because in the Philippines, which is where we get most of our great people, because our first couple of terrific hires happened to come from the Philippines, and Leslie Orlaza, who had done tons of recruiting for big, big companies that we've all heard of, she started doing it for our clients because it was a passion for her to connect people where it was the answer to a prayer for the company and it was the answer to the prayer for the worker to be able to connect them. And that's what she does. And now we have this whole division where you can get your Victory Dream Team member yourself through Leslie. But the funny thing is, I thought the same thing. Will there be a heavy accent issue where sometimes some Americans just can't understand folks that are from over there? I'm lucky to speak the five that I speak passably. So the answer is yes, yes, yes. The Filipinos speak English and some speak Spanish because it was at one point, it was definitely run by Spain. And then they also have all of their own languages, which there are multiple of. So the national language of business is English. And so it's not that they learn English as a second language like a lot of people in other foreign countries do. That is the language of the country. They have a dual language. There are plenty of places like that. Canada has English and French. And also, I've been in Malta a lot lately. Also, they speak English in the workplace and Maltese, a very difficult language to learn, by the way, at home or sometimes with older family members and stuff like that. The Philippines are the same way. Everybody speaks English to each other because they don't all speak the same Filipino language. So yes, and also it's a beautiful accent. I would love to have that accent. It's lovely. It's just beautiful. It's a lovely lilting sound that anybody would find pleasing. I'm now biased because a lot of the people that I adore are from the Philippines. So yes, it's something you don't have to worry about at all. There won't be a language barrier. There won't be a heavy accent issue. There won't be a comprehension issue when you find people from the Philippines. Now, it is a different form of English. I do notice that, but when when I'm talking to the clients and the people who work for us in England, there's a lot of words that don't mean the same thing. There's a lot of emphasis on different parts of the words than the way that we do it in the United States. Even Canadian English has some phrases that you may not be familiar with. So every culture has maybe slight differences or idioms that they use that we don't, and vice versa, but they're so minor. And most of the people that we are finding for companies when we're sourcing those fantastic virtual assistants for them to do every kind of thing in the world, most of those people have been working in their field for many years. They've been in large corporate America, only working over there in the Philippines. So they're used to our hours. They're used to our way of working. They're used to all of our holidays. They're used to all of our strange expressions that we have. So that is something that I was worried about. And I wanted to also make sure that I was being respectful and understanding people. And it has not been an issue at all. I've learned a lot about another culture, which I think is good for all of us, and mainly at the ability to adapt of the people that we have and the understanding that sometimes they understand our culture better than we do because they're seeing it from the outside. So it's just a fantastic advantage. I think, the whole world's a small town. And why don't we start acting like there are great people all over the world? Pick the ones that fit best for you in whatever role that is. And if they're right next door to you, fantastic. And if they're around the world, someplace far away, and they really deserve a chance, then go ahead and choose somebody from far away. I'm really enamored of the Philippines and of the people that we have and have been able to source there. But we've also sourced people from other places. But that's the main place that we do find great people, partly because Leslie knows where everybody went to school. Leslie knows what big companies have great training and minimal training. And so she's been able to kind of know things behind the scenes that most people wouldn't necessarily know. People ask me a lot, can they work US hours, British hours, Canadian hours? Is it something where you can find people who are, say, in the Philippines, which is a lot of hours different from the US? Is it possible to find people who can work US 8 to 5 kinds of hours? And the answer is absolutely yes. Not everybody wants to work those hours, but a lot of people do. So don't be worried about whether or not you're going to be able to coordinate when you've got people who are perfectly willing to work the hours that you need covered. Now, in our case, we have clients all the way from Hawaii to California to Chicago, where I live when I'm not over here on the road in Europe. We also have clients in England and across Europe. So, all over the world. And what we've done is we have one person who covers the kind of earlier hours in the day. And then we have another person that comes on and covers until late, late in the evening. And we get 16 hours of coverage. So if you have one of those businesses that needs to be on call 24 hours a day or has a big time difference in the clients that you deal with and you need a lot of hours covered, you can definitely get people that will work the hours that are convenient for you and that will work for them too. Most people, like most of us, they're looking for a full-time job. And when we're talking 8, 9, 7 even sometimes dollars, 8, 9, 10, depending upon the level of experience. But if it's somebody that's worked for a big company and is dying to work from home and has experience in calendar management, posting things, and is a Gen Z or a millennial and just does all that stuff like breathing. Oh, God bless people who can do that. That may not be, that may not be a big, big investment. Maybe starting at $7 or $8 an hour would still be fair, because the important thing is that we're fair and respectful of people for what they contribute. One of my big goals is I want everybody who works for me in the Philippines and everywhere else, I want to make them all millionaires. My goal is for them all to be millionaires. I don't care where they live. I don't care what their cost of living is. I want them all to be millionaires. I absolutely do. And why not? And why not? If they contribute to a point where our company is growing and growing and growing, we've been doing our best with bonuses and stuff like that. But I think good people really deserve respect and appreciation in any way that we can give that. So the question being, can we find you part-time people? It is tricky. It is something that can be done. We do have a lot of internal part-time people, and I would more recommend that. It is not going to be that inexpensive though, because we have scoured the planet, and I scoured all of the Philippines for Leslie's best buddies and most experienced people with decades. I mean, the whole team has like 45 years of experience in all the things that they do. I mean, these are really the cream of the crop who've been hand picked and trained by us as a team. So if you need things like social media, you need a new website, I always say if it's something you're going to do once, hire somebody to do it. If it's something you do all the time, you may want to learn how to do it or hire somebody full-time to do it on your staff. But if it's something, something ongoing, then that's definitely something that you want to take a look at. So part-time is feasible, but it is tricky. There are places like Upwork and Fiverr. Now there's Fiverr Pro that will give these people who are slightly more advanced. But those platforms, they take a big chunk of what that person makes on an hourly basis. So it doesn't become as fair as I would necessarily like. I think taking a small amount is one thing, but taking exorbitant amounts out of how much they make, that really bothers me. And on those types, not all of those platforms are like that. Some are better than others. So there are ways to find as needed people, but we have internal as needed people because so many of our clients need as needed people. If you need bookkeeping, you need those profit and loss statements, you need to be able to make sure you're all set to go every year for your accountant. If you need that sort of thing, we have as needed people who could do 5 hours a month, 10 hours a month, 5 hours a week, whatever's required. We have people that can definitely do that. If you need social media, if you need a website, if you need a podcast, if you need it put together, launched, we have one of the best video editors in the world. I absolutely love him. Eunice Reyes, you may have bumped into her in our company. She handles all of the creative stuff that we now do. And her husband, Joseph, we were able to steal from a big company for his incredible video skills. Everything from TikTok videos to LinkedIn videos to podcasts. He can just make anybody look fantastic. So we're very lucky to have him too. So again, that's not going to be a super inexpensive choice, but if you just need a few hours a month and you want people that you know you can count on, and I will personally guarantee the quality of the work 100%, no questions asked. It will be to your liking or free. Absolutely guarantee that. If that's something that you want, we do have those people. We can source part-time people, but it is tricky because then they are often working 2 or 3 other jobs, and it becomes difficult. It becomes really difficult. Even in the US, when I find people who are US workers, well, just because of the cost of living, sometimes you have people that are doing 5, 6, 10, 50 projects with people, and you can just get lost in the shuffle. So if you can find a way to afford just a little bit more, cut back on something else, and be able to get somebody full-time, even if it's somebody that's starting at maybe on the lower end, or somebody maybe just out of college that really needs a chance and is happy to have $6 an hour or euros or pounds, whatever your money looks like. So, there's always a way to do it. But I think as needed people are one thing, because those are people that have a business set up to do things on an as needed basis. Part-time, don't recommend part-time. We haven't had great luck with it. We can do it for you, but I just don't. None of us are going to recommend it, doing it that way. Get as needed people, which sounds like the same thing, but isn't. And it's actually better for you because as needed people, let's say you want Eunice to make you a website once. She and her team make you the most gorgeous website in the world with a bunch of video on it, all done by Joseph. Voila, it's done. And then if you need maintenance for, a few fixes here and there and some bugs that might change or come up or links that end up broken because that site doesn't exist anymore or whatever, and we have a little maintenance package that we can do to make sure that those things are getting done for you. But yeah, as needed is nice because they can come in when you need them. We have one client that needed bookkeeping, and Jenny, who's amazing, all he needed was when he had a big project that he needed to be able to write a proposal for, he needed somebody, Leslie, who could write up a great proposal, Eunice to make it look beautiful. And then he wanted to know that the invoices could be done. They're very complicated, and that they could be done by somebody that knew what they were doing. And we had Jenny who could do that. So he has this whole team. And he uses us maybe 10 hours a month, 5 hours a month, sometimes zero. You get 2 months where he doesn't need anything of what we do. And then suddenly they can swoop in as needed. So that can save you a lot in terms of your ongoing costs because you don't have to pay them every single month. But again, like I said, don't think part-time's a great idea because it's really hard to source and it's really hard to make that work. But again, as needed, if they're set up that way, we have them set up that way, and we control making sure that they don't have so much business that they can't take care of you properly, as opposed to some of these other platforms where you might get somebody who's super overloaded and, you could fall through the cracks. It could not get done, and you have no guarantee that it's going to be done to your satisfaction. Our whole thing is it's not cheap. It's definitely not, but it's the best possible quality that we can guarantee. We will guarantee the best quality that you will be 100% satisfied with. I am so incredibly honored to have you as a part of the Inspiring Victory tribe at the Inspiring Victory Show. Please do us a favor. We really need your help. Please like, subscribe, share, write a comment. It makes a huge difference with how many people we can reach here at the Inspiring Victory Show, and it makes a big difference to me personally. I want to make sure that we're providing content to as many people as we possibly can so they can grow and succeed. So we'd love to have you continue your membership here at the Inspiring Victory Show. It's free. Helping us out costs nothing, but it makes a huge difference in how many people we can help. So double your business, double your impact, and change the world. And thank you so much for being a part of this extraordinary community. Thank you. One of my absolute favorite clients, we are helping him to get some overseas people to fill in some gaps on things that just aren't getting done. They're not getting back to people as quickly as now is in what we all demand. You know how it used to be, you could get back to somebody in 24 hours or maybe 48, would be no big deal. Now there's an expectation of you'll be getting back to people within 4 business hours, and that's what looks professional. So they weren't able to keep up with all of that. His calendar, just keeping up with his calendar, he was working well into the night, and CEOs shouldn't be doing that. Right. So we've been getting him some great people to do some of those things, posting all their social media. They don't have an internal creative department to do social media and, update their website. So we're providing all of that. So one of the main things that we're providing, though, is getting them those overseas virtual assistants, high quality people with tons of experience, great English skills, and just darn wonderful human beings, because Leslie's finding them. And somehow Leslie always finds these magical, amazing human beings. Now, he had a really good question, which was, who pays these people and how do we pay these people? Excellent question. Thank you very much for the question. So I get to answer for all folks who would like to know, like you. Here's what you need to know. We will source the people for you, and then we have 2 options. We can either source them for you and you can train them, or we can source them for you and we can train them, and you can read more about that further down. But either way is great. However, on an hourly basis, from a psychological standpoint and also from a sanity standpoint, you pay your people on that hourly basis for however long you have them. We have internal people. You can pay us obviously a lot. It's a lot more because we have high quality people who've been with us forever that we trust to the ends of the earth, and we know we can guarantee their quality. So yes, we have part-time. You can get those people that either are in your company a number of hours of a week or of a month, or just once in a while on an as needed basis. We do have those people available for you. However, if it's somebody we've sourced for you, it's a chief results officer like Leslie is for us, who does a lot of the project management and manages all the pieces and keeps everything going and makes sure that I don't miss anything. If it's somebody like that, or if it's somebody that's going to be your personal assistant or an executive assistant who's handling your calendar, who's handling your email, that's handling, posting things or doing stuff like that, doing your social media, those sorts of those things. So whatever that list is that you have, that we are finding for you, once you have that person, you then get to pay them that hourly rate. That might be at a bare minimum these days, $6 or $7 an hour. I used to say 6 was sort of okay. Now, unless they're coming right out of college, even in the Philippines, cost of living being what is, I think that's a little bit low. So typically 7, 8, 9, 10, 12, 19 if it's somebody who's an attorney. So there's quite a range, but average, think $8 to $10 is probably going to get you somebody pretty spectacular and fabulous. Well, now you have to figure out how to pay them. And they live in the Philippines, so they have the Filipino peso, which is different. Very easy to handle. What we do is they will track their hours. We give them we recommend a system to you and to them of hour tracking. They turn it on when they start, they turn it off whenever they stop, and back on and off. So they always know how many hours they have. If you're just having them at a regular 40 hours a week, then you don't have to worry about that because you're just paying them a set amount every week and every month, minus making sure that they get a vacation here and there and a few holidays off. So then the question becomes, how do you get the money over to them? And there are various services out there. Gusto's one of them. There's a bunch of them. We can give you a breakdown of what different services there are and the cost analysis of each one. And it's, if you have QuickBooks or if you have some of those other services, you're used to paying a fee every month, and you're used to paying a little bit on top of whatever that fee is. We recommend that you pay them on the 1st and the 15th because a lot of these people have a whole family to feed. And sometimes those services, some of them are quicker and they can get it right away, but they cost more. And some of them are not as quick, and it may take a few days for those people in the Philippines to not just get the money, but also be able to, have it be released to them. So twice a month, I think, is just the only fair way to go. And that's what we had shifted to early on. And so you use one of these platforms. If you've ever used any kind of banking platform or any kind of business platform for invoicing and paying people, it's not going to look all that different. And then you pay them in American dollars. Their expectation is, let's say it's $8 or $9 or $10 an hour that you're spending, average somewhere in there. Then 40 hours a week, you every 2 weeks, on the 1st and the 15th, you plunk in however many hours that would be. Now, obviously, there's 4.5 weeks in a month, so you can either do it every 2 weeks that way, or you can get them to calculate the hours of exactly what that 4.5 weeks looks like. We can provide you with a tick list, checklist of how to do that and what that looks like, and we can teach your people how to do that. We can teach you how to do that to make sure that you know how to go ahead and pay people appropriately. And if you want to give them a bonus, we highly recommend that you do when they're doing a great job for you. Then you can just tack that on after 3 months, bump it up $1. Be good, be kind, be respectful of the people helping you and your business be successful. If you're hiring 2 at a time, so they can be cross-trained and one can take a vacation without throwing off that whole division or your company or you, then you're probably paying them both. Or if you need 10 or 20 or 50, that's a whole other issue. Then again, pay them on the 1st, pay them on the 15th, or pay them every actual 2 weeks. So that's how that works. We can, and if you decide to work with us, we will provide you with exactly what the services are out there in terms of those firms that will send money over to the Philippines or wherever your person is, often in our case because of the contacts that Leslie has in the Philippines. And we will make sure that you know exactly how to do it and that you have the SOPs, standard operating procedures, to be able to go through that with as much information as you need. And we can create extra videos if it's something that you feel like you would need more information on, or jump on a call and walk you through how to do it and show you exactly what you need to be able to do that. But it's not hard. It's not hard at all. And then if you need bookkeeping help to be able to keep track of all of that, we have an amazing bookkeeper on staff, and she can absolutely help you that for just a few hours a month. She can probably manage all of that for you. Not at that lower rate. She's obviously extremely experienced and somebody we can 100% count on to do an exceptional job every time. But that is something that would be available to you as well. And we would be happy to share that with you. If we work with you guys, hello, or Leslie specifically, on finding that dream team, the guaranteed victory dream team for you, how do we train those people? Well, we have a couple of options. One, if you want to, we can just source you somebody that we know is going to be a really good fit for you, and then we guarantee it. If for some reason they aren't a fantastic fit, you can either have your money back completely, or you could say, it wasn't quite right, I really needed different skills, or we just weren't a personality match. It doesn't happen very often. 98% of the time, it's a perfect fit. But if sometime in the first few months, it just doesn't feel like it's a perfect fit, or even up to a whole year, we will find you another person to replace that person that you are excited about. Now, we sometimes will say to people, we recommend that you get 2 at once, so you can train, if you can, so you can train both of them at once, and they are then cross-trained. You can put it all on video. They can turn it into SOPs, which is what are these standard operating procedures of how we do things. And then if somebody does maybe fall ill, hopefully not, or if they just don't work out, then you can get a second or a third or fourth person, because you now have really good processes and systems of how you do things when those people first come in and they notice things that become invisible. You know how it is, they can become invisible after a very short span of time. So on to how do you train these people? We have a couple of options. We find you these people that are an answer to a prayer for you, whether it's managing your calendar or doing lead generation, that organic lead generation out of your LinkedIn or your database. So if that's something that you want, or if there's, create a list of things that you want in one person. Sometimes we'll say those are 2 sets of skills. Somebody who can do sort of sales and marketing activities may not be the same person who does bookkeeping. But if you needed a full-time person, those are just different personality types. Try not to ask for things that aren't really probably going to go together in one person. Better to get 2 people, maybe an as-needed person from us, or 2 full-time people, or 1 as-needed and 1 full-time. So then the question becomes, okay, now we've picked out this person for you. we're as certain as we can be that you're going to love them 98% of the time. Leslie finds people, the team finds people that you will love. And there's that 2% of the time where it's just, it's not a love match. It's okay. And then, of course, we will make sure that that you get another person or, 100% refund, whatever you want. Now, then comes to the training. Now, we can give you that person with these high level of skills, usually 3 or 4 times as much. It costs 3 or 4 times as much in the US, Canada, and England to get, because of the cost of living, to get someone of the same skill level as we are able to find in the Philippines because of the high dollar right now, because of the cost of living being a lot lower in the Philippines. So we can hand you that person who is going to be quite experienced and know what they're doing, because sometimes people will say, oh, well, they're only $10 an hour. They're probably going to be brand new. I've got to train them. I got to teach them what to do. Not so. We have people who are in that range who have years, if sometimes decades, of fantastic experience doing, whatever you want to do. We had one gal that could juggle 5 calendars at the same time. She used to work with 5 VPs and managed all of their calendars. I think she can handle you. Don't worry. There's plenty of other people that are like that. So if you're, so we can find you somebody who's very proficient, they know what they're doing, and then we will stay in touch, maybe talk to you once a week, talk to your person once a week, and see if there's any questions or any things you need to know. How do you pay this person? How do you get the money overseas? How do you do, how do you do any of these things that go along with having a new person that happens to be overseas? Most of it's really easy. So we can just do that much, for a set fee. And then if you want us to, we can also help that, we can train that person. We can find all your standard operating procedures, SOPs in advance. And then we can, Leslie's amazing at this, that we have a whole team around her that does this really well. And we can, video record how you want things done by interviewing you. We can then turn that into checklists and smaller videos that have been edited down and, step-by-step guides on how to do things with charts and graphs and whatever's required, so that by the time that person comes in, we can train them to do all of those things. And we can also make recommendations on how we've done things with other clients, how Leslie and the team have done things at larger corporations, how we do things internally ourselves, some of the systems we've created over lots and lots of practice. And we can get that person as trained as possible to start off day one with you pretty well trained. Now, does that mean that you're not going to have to explain how things work or how you like this done or that done, or refine things or repeat a few things that maybe just didn't make it across? It's human communication. It is going to take a few weeks to make sure that they know everything about you, and then a few months before they really get into the groove of knowing how you do things and what you do. You can't expect that to be instant, but we can speed it up a lot if you go for, that slightly higher package of having us create all of those for you and then train that person and then install that person for you. So that's one way that you can definitely do that. So yeah, you have options. You can train them yourself. If you've done it a million times before, you know what you're doing, and you just want to bring them in and train them. I suggest that you get them to look for holes in the standard operating procedures you have around your company now, because usually they'll see things in the first month or two that become invisible later. So have them writing those things up every day. What are things that you're seeing that we're doing that are not currently in that virtual handbook of how we do things? And can you video record a little on how you do it, so you see the emphasis and the emotion about different things? So they can add those things in the beginning as that goes along. But usually within a few weeks, you've got it really up to speed and everything's going really, really, really well. The first few days, if you're doing it yourself, it's all going to be making sure that they have access to things, so that you may have a keeper of all your passwords that you give them a specific code for, so that they have that separately, and maybe not have access to everything, all the keys to the kingdom. And then, so realize that if you haven't done this before and you're trying to do it yourself, it is a lot of work. It is, those first few weeks are just a ton of work, and you spend all your time explaining, which you'll have a certain amount of that no matter how much we do in advance for you, but it will be greatly minimized by having us do some of that for you rather than having to do it all yourself. So it's just how much free time do you have to be able to do that? Having that control over your business and then having more free time, that's probably why you're talking to us about that. But that's a question that we get a lot is, okay, I get them. How do I train them? But realize these are top professionals. We are bringing you people with great experience, know what they're doing, have worked in a lot of big corporations, and have varying levels of experience depending upon your fee range. Now, the question I get a lot is, can I just go find them myself? They'll see ads that say, $4 an hour to get somebody from the Philippines or other places. Or they see that there's job boards out there where you could just post something and sift through it yourself. And if you're really strapped for cash, that's not necessarily a bad idea. Now, I don't recommend some of these places that say, hey, we'll source you somebody and they'll only be $4 an hour, because that's exploitive and abusive. That's the reason that some of these people in the Philippines are leaving larger corporations, that they don't want to be exploited. There's not a lot of opportunities over there, but now there's growing opportunities around the world, and we want to be respectful of people. We want them to make a good living, and you don't want them working 8 hours for you and then having to work 3 other jobs just to be able to feed their families. That's just not fair. Now, we're lucky in that the American dollar is quite high, and also that the cost of living in the Philippines is much lower, and there isn't as much opportunity. So you've got a lot of people that are really looking for a chance. So you have people with 2, 3, 4 times the experience of an American worker, but really looking for an opportunity to work from home, see their family. Family is so important to the Filipino people. I think it is for most of us. So, we want to be respectful of the culture. We want to be respectful of human needs and human dignity and respect. So if you see some of these ads, that's probably a starter rate, or they're exploiting people in the sense that they're taking a big chunk of that and they're giving people like $2 an hour, something that's just an embarrassment, and that I don't think you would want to do to anyone. You want to be respectful of others. And I know, absolutely. And as you are able to double your business, you want to be able to help these people be successful, help them be wealthy by their own standards or by any standard around the world. If somebody's going to help you grow and help you be more successful, you owe it to them to do the exact same thing. So the answer to, can you get your own people overseas, is yes. There are boards that, we can give you a list of them and you can look. If you are really strapped for cash, we can give you a few pointers on what to look for when you're looking for people. That is certainly a possibility. And you can find people, and it will be a little less expensive because you don't have to pay us to find them and train them and source them and make sure they're exactly right for you. You might have to go through 2 or 3 or 4 or 5 to get one that's really a right fit for you, because you don't know what you're looking for. I wouldn't want to do it myself because I think it's very, very difficult. However, I've been strapped for cash and wanted to do everything myself. Go ahead and do that if you need to. We'll give you a few tips in the notes here on things to look for and what are green flags and maybe a couple red flags that you need to watch out for, so that you can find your own person and train them and install them and get them going. So yes, you can do it yourself. Absolutely. There are some pitfalls involved, but there's no reason you can't do it yourself. Absolutely no reason you can't do it yourself if that's what you want to do. Now, if you want to find out what it takes for us to get you people who can do everything in the world, there's a link down below, and you can talk to Leslie if what you want is overseas help. If you need a creative help, like a new website or a podcast or a video, there's also a link for Eunice down below, and you can connect with those folks and learn as much as you would like to about what we do and how we do it. But if you want to do it all on your own, we'll have a little section with a few suggestions of things to look for, and hopefully that will make it easier in your search. But find somebody great. Get people before you think you need them, because if you grow and you can't take good care of the people, those new clients, I have had this happen. It's really easy to implode. I've seen clients and companies implode that I've had to come in and try to rescue and bring in all sorts of services to help them build back up. It's not great. So make sure you have the people that you need from right next door or from around the world, whatever's best for you in every situation. And double your business, double your impact, change the world.
Let's take a moment to thank our sponsor, Marites Bott of Bott & Associates.
I'm so honored to get to be with our wonderful sponsor for the Inspiring Victory show. And I want to make sure you know a little bit more about her and about what they do, because I think it'd be really helpful for all of us as business people and just in our personal lives. Meritus does a lot of speaking, as many of you probably know, but I love one of the speeches that she's famous for, which is A Generous Legacy, the power of future-proofing your business and your personal life. And that's really what you are all about. So I want to talk a little bit about that with you. And can you give us an example of somebody who's come to you and how you were able to help them that might be able to help all of us as we navigate our financial planning as well as our estate planning for business and for personal?
Yeah, I'd love to. Well, thank you for having me, Sarah. I appreciate it. We do a lot of estate planning, obviously, as well as the financial planning for our clients. And a story that I think is a great way to showcase what we do is this wonderful couple that we met back in, I want to say 2015. They came in for a consultation. So they are certainly a wonderful couple, blended family. So second marriage for both of them. He has children and she does not. Basically, they were saying to me, Meritus, I really want my estate plan to be secure. I want it to be ironclad so it goes to the right people. Particularly the wife was concerned that this money goes to her charities, which she was very, very active in and volunteers quite a bit. She puts her hard-earned money with them. And she also wants to make sure her husband is taken care of as well. So she wanted to do both objectives at the same time. We were like, of course we can help you with that. We want to make sure that we write everything down and just like you said, make it ironclad so that there's no contest. There's nobody trying to get to the money inappropriately. Right. So we created a wonderful estate plan for them. So that was 2015. Now, sadly, she unexpectedly passed a few years later. And her surviving spouse came to us and he really needed help. He was so, of course, distraught and super, super sad. But he was also very concerned about the financial pieces. He wasn't that familiar with financial instruments. There was 13, 14, 15 accounts that she had. And of course, he was like, I'm confused. What do I do with all of this? So we said, okay, we're going to take care of you. We got this. And we were able to really take a hold of all those instruments and all those accounts. And on our financial side of our business, we were able to consolidate them, invest it in very prudent investments and make sure it's easy for him to manage. So we were able to do that within 3 to 6 months. His late wife's wishes of him being able to live on that money and then eventually at his death, give it to her charities is exactly what's going to happen. So wonderful to be able to plan it properly, give her peace of mind. A few years later, we're honoring 100% of her wishes. This money is not going to go to anybody inappropriately. And her beneficiaries, her charities, are going to be so happy to be able to get this money upon his death because he is still able to live on that income. So I love those stories because to me, we work so hard. We sacrifice daily, right? We work so hard and we want to be able to take our money and be able to give it to people that we love and charities that we believe in.
Well, thank you very much for sharing that with us. I always enjoy spending time with you. And yeah, you're one of the people I always find so much value in talking to. You're just walking integrity and you're a good soul. And you help people. You help people. So thank you for being on the show again and for sharing with us and for always doing such a great job for everybody. And now that you're able to do even more and be more of a one-stop shop to help people with all these different issues, I think your company and you are even more valuable. Thank you so much. Always lovely to see you. Meritus Bott and Associates. If it's something that you need, be sure and contact Meritus right away. Thank you.